Hello, my lovers and leaders. Welcome to my channel. My name is Dr. Sarah, and I'm an industrial organizational psychologist. So, recently I've been pondering about giving some reactions to some of these Glassdoor reviews. Some of you may know Glassdoor is a platform where not only do you see job postings, you get to see some realities about the companies that you want to work for or you currently work for. All right. Companies do give some oversight of what their company is about, their culture, their values, some demographics, and also there's opportunities for current employees or ex-employees to leave their reviews. And also there are now certain subgroups that are being formed for folks to talk about certain things that they may not be able to talk about with their colleague, with their boss. And this is why I love being an IO psychologist, because I am one of those people that has those psychological solutions, all right, to some of those workplace behaviors that oftentimes get kind of pushed under the rug, or people just stay frustrated. Good people end up leaving. It's a shame. It's a big shame when certain things cannot be solved because there's a lack of soft skills. So those kind of deep-seated emotional intelligence skills to solve problems. So anyway, I have a post from a customer success manager. This was about 2 weeks ago, and I'm going to read it out to you, and I'm going to give you my response. So the person says, I think my boss is mentally living in 2002. By the way, this post was done 2 weeks ago. So they say, I think my boss is mentally living in 2002 because when I told him I needed a raise since my salary wasn't keeping up with the cost of living, he laughed. Okay? Then once he composed himself, he asked if I was joking. I said no. Then he proceeds to tell me that a $58,000 a year salary is more than enough to live off of. I'm single and I live in Memphis. My salary barely covers the rent. What's my next move? Okay. I see certain responses to that post, some really good engagement. So let me first of all start with the fact that you think your boss is mentally in 2002. I'm not sure what's especially 2002, but basically this person's saying they're just way back in 2002, maybe when the cost of living was really good, right? As opposed to now in 2025, as I'm speaking. Here's some things. I wonder how this employee approached the boss, because from the text, the person says, I told him I needed a raise since my salary wasn't keeping up with the cost of living, and he laughed. So the mere fact he laughed, it just tells me the way the person approached the boss wasn't with professionalism. Maybe they weren't very serious in their conversation. And what I mean by that is that typically when you ask for a raise, okay, a raise from this business you work for, you need to bring evidence of why you think you need a raise. Just necessarily saying cost of living, the reality is your boss is also experiencing a hike in cost of living. The business itself is experiencing a hike in certain overhead costs because of cost of living, especially where the business is even sitting. In this case, it's in Memphis, right? So one of the key elements here is, first of all, not saying that, not telling the boss, maybe it was very casually, you never know, it may have not been a scheduled meeting. So it's best to have a scheduled meeting for those type of salary negotiations. It's really a big deal, okay? And what I would do is be professional about it. Research your position. So this position is a customer success manager. Research what is the going salary in that month that you want to request in the state that you are in. All right. Research what is the average. What's the average salary, and also research compare your current skills with what that salary is. Okay, so depending on your skills, especially if you compare it. So she's saying that the boss is saying 58,000. Say she wanted a little bit more, maybe like 60,000. She would have to look, or he would have to look at customer success manager roles in the state of Memphis and see what for example, 60K salary looks like, or a 65K, and compare your current skills and experiences to what is the average requirement. It tells the boss that you're very serious. If your skills is a comparison of what that $65,000 increase, salary shows, and your skills in comparison to it, it really gives the boss something to think about. Because especially if they don't want to lose you, because there's a big cost if they lose that employee with recruitment of it all, the hiring process, and having to train that person. There's a lot of time costs and dollar costs, all right, to rehire somebody. So if your current skills and experience, all right, is in comparison to the same type of job role but with increased salary, you have something to work with. You have something to state your case with your boss. Now, if your current skills and experience is not in alignment with a raise, right? With, again, the same similar job, same similar state, and they're making a little bit more on average, if it's not in comparison, this is where you can ask your boss, okay, what can I do to improve my input into this workplace? What are the needs in this workplace? Because I really do want to elevate here and be more of service here, all right? And you don't necessarily need to talk about compensation in that moment, or you can if you have that rapport with your boss, right? Because you could be telling your boss that, listen, I really want in the next 1 year to elevate in my job role, and of course, associate compensation. What do I need to do to get from $58,000 per year to maybe like a $61,000, $62,000 a year? A real conversation. Just talking about cost of living, depending who you're talking with, you will get that kind of response. Depending on the approach you're coming with your boss, you will probably get a laughter, right? So it's really important that when you talk about salary negotiations, you schedule a meeting, you bring your data to show that you've done the research and to show that they should take you seriously. Also, engage with your HR personnel. The HR personnel, part of their job, okay, is to be abreast of cost of living changes in the state, and the different and its impact with the different job roles that they oversee. So also talk with your HR personnel before coming to your boss, okay? But that research, those data is really, really important, all right? But also hold space for the fact that if you are not getting that cost of living increase, if you have this conversation with your colleagues, especially in the financial area, or with your manager, you can also tell that there's been some cost increase in certain overhead costs for them as well. Maybe that's why they can't actually give you the increase of cost of living. I remember I was in a job, it was a nonprofit organization I was working with, and that specific year they did not increase salary. Why? Because the allocated budget was very low. Why? Because the previous year, some type of conversation about there was a loss of sponsorship, loss of money. You're dealing with nonprofits, so they do leverage a lot of sponsorships, right? And various type of grants as well. So if they don't have enough grant money, there's not enough budget to increase to give to labor, right? So what did I do? I didn't actually in my brain feel like, oh my goodness, they just didn't increase. This is what I was doing. I was literally figuring out what other projects I can be on, what kind of help I can be to my boss or even to my colleagues. Why? Because I'm acquiring, it's being strategic here, I'm acquiring new skills and experience because I want to pump up my resume, because I said to myself, in the next 1 year or the next 6 months, okay, when I bring to them, this is like, what I've, my increase of duties, and also that I've worked to make myself valuable to the company, to my colleagues as well, right? And to my boss. I'm like preparing to state the case of, listen, next 6 months to a year, if they don't increase my salary, at that point I'm saying to myself and preparing, then I'm gonna pivot. Why? Because all this acquired new knowledge and experience and skills, somebody else is going to hire me, right? And it actually happened. Somebody else did. All right. And I like one of the feedbacks to the post was that there was a feedback and somebody said, and it's true, when you change jobs, I would say maybe every 3 years to 5 years, when you change job frequently, you can actually command increase in salary more, right? Depending what job you're going through, and depending your understanding of your skills and the transference of those skills to a new job, it's you can actually increase. Because I saw some article that they say usually when you leave a job and you go to a new job, there's usually that average of about 20% increase in your salary, as opposed to staying in your role for 3 years, 5 years. You get the incremental, like maybe like 5% increase, 10% increase. And that's so true. The longer you stay in your role, well, the longer you stay in that organization, the smaller the increase of your salary. That's if you're not getting a promotion. That's if you're not getting a promotion. I'm just talking about typical merit increase, that's including cost of living oftentimes. So if you're staying in your job for like 5 years, 3 years, 7 years, you're only getting a small increase. Maybe like a 3% increase, 2.5% increase in salary. It is what it is. That average at 3.5 is, all the three is usually that increase. Some people get 2.5, some people get 2%. But when you leap to another job, you can at least get a good maybe 10%, 20%, depending on the job role, depending on the industry, depending on the state. So a solution is, if you know within the next 6 months to a year, your boss, you've approached that boss in a professional way, you've brought data, you've compared your current role to the the same type of role from a place like a glassdoor, and you're seeing the average salary that they're giving to you is actually more than what you're getting. You do have something to talk about with your boss. You do have something to talk about. But I would always encourage you to stay at this point with this person. I would encourage this person to wait it out 6 months to a year, just to see if they can actually gain more expertise in that job. So before they leave, they acquire this additional experience, additional skills, so they can actually command more increased salary, and even change in job title too. All right. You could be like an assistant in your current role, but when you move to another role with that additional experience, right, you can actually command a senior assistant position, for example, right? So again, it depends. I also factor in age as well. If you're in your 20s, I would encourage you, if you're this person, wait it out for at least another year. Keep trying to grind and see additional products you can get. If you're in your 30s or 40s, listen, time is of the essence, all right? I would encourage you, if you have you've invested to try to expand your role there, all right? And there's still not a promotion or a significant salary increase, yes, your late 30s, 40s, I would encourage you, you've been there 3 years, 5 years, at least if you've been there for like 5 years, I would encourage you to pivot. Yes, I would encourage you to pivot. You don't want to waste time. You don't want to waste time. But again, if there is room to grow in your organization, please stay. Get everything you can there and give everything you can there. But if you are stagnant and your salary is looking real stagnant, I would encourage you, especially the late 30s, 40s, you've been there 5 years, begin to prepare for your exit, okay? and there's nothing wrong with it. You're growing, you're expanding, and listen, everybody will understand. And you've seen certain situations whereby you're doing like 2 or 3 roles, right? And then you leave, all right? And then they split your role into like 2 jobs, all right? I've experienced that too. So listen, everybody's going to figure things out. Your job place is going to figure things out as you decide to move on. Hopefully you found that helpful. If you need some additional one-on-one help in situations like this, please check out my link below for some one-on-one coaching sessions. As an IO psychologist, listen, this is one of the reasons I'm so passionate about this, because I'm giving you what I wish I had, as I was moving through my career in the workplace. Oftentimes you don't have that person to have that deep-seated conversation about, what should I really do? Some of you don't want to move, but intuitively you need to move, and some of you need to have those soft skills to have those difficult conversations, such as the salary negotiation. So please check out my link regarding careers and even other things too, because even in this career growth path that I'm talking about, you need the right consciousness to actually make certain changes. If your mind doesn't change, nothing's going to change. So one of the things I love to do is teach about reprogramming the current conscience you currently have, so you can elevate yourself. So please check out my link below and sign up for one of these one-on-one sessions with me in the various services I offer. Until next time, if this really resonated with you, leave me a comment, give me some feedback so I can continue making this good content, and give me a like and share this content with someone you know that will actually benefit. Until next time, stay blessed. Bye.